and I'm here interviewing Kirk Andre Wilson. And so, Kirk, it's such a pleasure talking to you. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Oh, well, my name is Kirk Andre Wilson. I'm originally from the area of New Orleans, Louisiana, United States of America. And I was born into a musical family on both sides. Both my parents were musicians. They met in college in music class, music choir, and both of my grandparents are also musicians. And so that's how I came to be a full-time professional musician. And that's all I do. That's all I ever want to do is be a successful musician and record and write music, compose music, arrange music. I've done music for television commercials, for TV. I produced a Christian television program for like almost 15 years. I moved to California. I worked on film. I've done film and film score, movie soundtrack, and now professionally I travel and perform as much as I can. When I was a freshman in college, I started out like when I was a little boy, longer than I can remember, and I just learned to play music. It didn't have titles, it didn't have all of that, it was just music. And so one of the songs we did, it was a song that I already knew, but it was in jazz band my freshman year. So I asked the band director, I said, "Is this jazz?" He said, "What do you mean?" I say, "With this song, I know this song already, but is this what you call jazz, you know?" And he said, "What are you talking about?" I say, "Well, I just want to know, is this jazz?" And he said, "Of course this is jazz." So my parents didn't say, "Oh, this is jazz and this is pop and this is R&B, the different genres." All we knew is we grew up knowing that it's good music. That's what mattered. So if I learned Misty by Errol Garner, my mom didn't say, "Play me the jazz song called Misty." She would just say, "Play Misty." And so I knew of jazz because I was listening to Oscar Peterson growing up. But she didn't say, "Oh, listen to this jazz song by Oscar Peterson." She just said, "Listen to Oscar Peterson." That's all it was, you know? So then finally when I get to college, I learned there's a label for this stuff, you know? And I'm like, the main label that I knew growing up was the blues, which I could not play because I grew up in a very strict Christian household. So we were not allowed to play the blues. You had to be a grown-up adult to play the blues. You couldn't just, "Oh, I'm gonna play me some blues." No. My grandpa, he was a pastor for 38 years, and he forbid me to play the blues. And my grandma on my daddy's side, she said, "That's the devil's workshop. You cannot play that, son. You hear me? If I catch you playing that." And sometime my uncle, my grandma's brother, he's a really good guitar player. He would play Lightning Hopkins. But if he came over to the house and started playing it, she would say, "Now, Carl, you go on the front porch and play that, but you can't play it in the house." Yeah. So that was some of my upbringing. So that's why I'm the way I am. And that's why I have a good definition of good music without having the border and the definition of what jazz is. Because I feel like if you're playing good music, you know, you don't have to always call it jazz, even if it is so, because when I play live, there's 11 types of jazz that I play. 11. Out of that 11, 3 of them I can call it something else. So.
Oh, very interesting. You have some interesting stories. Now, tell me, you had mentioned about being true to yourself and being true to how you play your music and how other people want to influence you. You were telling me about that. Like, say for instance, if you go to a different country, because you've traveled all around. So
Right.
Tell us a little bit about that, Kirk.
So sometime if I'm performing for a new audience, say for example someone, I would say 95% of them never heard me play, I will tend to, I will play songs that I plan to play, songs that I prepared to play. But what I don't play is songs that they think I should play, or maybe songs that they want to hear. They would miss out on a treat because the songs that I'm playing are songs that they're not really familiar with, but it doesn't mean that they're not going to enjoy it. So being true to myself means that I have a repertoire. I have songs that I have prepared to perform. So I play those songs. If I look into the audience and I see someone that's 30 years younger than me, I'm not going to just start playing Bruno Mars just to please them, because I'm not Bruno Mars. And his repertoire isn't part of my show. That's just not what I do. So it would be a detriment to my show for me to try to play. Now, I can play Bruno Mars, don't get me wrong. You know, that stuff, that's good music too, you know what I mean? But that's not part of my show. Like, you know, I can play Michael Jackson. I can play it all day long. That's no problem. But it's not part of my show. Now, it might be part of my show because I do actually cover 3 of Michael Jackson's songs. But it's not necessarily part of my show or something that I prepared particularly to play. So what I do is I'll play my repertoire. And if I perceive the audience isn't satisfied, I'll just cut the song and then go to the next song. They don't like that one, I'll cut that one. But typically after about 3 or 4 songs, they're loving it, whether they heard it or not. Because if the performance is good and if it's what is coming from my heart, then that'll reach the heart. And I grew up learning that what leaves the heart reaches the heart. So that's why that best works for me.
And you were saying that how you are unique. Your music is your own creation, and that's one thing that keeps you, like, makes you special, because you are unique. You're not like everybody else.
One of the songs from my album is track 3. It made it to number 9 on Billboards. It's entitled "Wonderful World." It's a song everyone knows. It's by Louis Armstrong. There's at least 200 versions of it, but each version sounds like the original pretty much. Everybody just copies what the original version. What I did was I changed it up rhythmically. I changed it from a waltz, you would call it, or 6/8, to a straight jazz ballad in 4/4. And I also changed some of the chords and the harmony. And when you change that, the musicians who play it, they have to know what these changes are, because otherwise it'll be a major train wreck. So when I perform this, that makes me unique, because that sound is a different sound. So whether I'm playing in LA or if I'm playing in Europe or South America, when I play that song with musicians, I have to give them forewarning. Hey man, this is something different, you know? And I've even had some people tell me, it sounds like a different song. If you just stop singing it, it doesn't sound like Wonderful World. But the melody is exactly the same. I didn't change the melody, I changed the harmony and the rhythm. And that creates a new perspective, and it makes it true to me, and it makes it unique. So that uniqueness, that's the thing, what I feel that's my strength.
Who or what was your earliest influence for you to become a musician? Is there any special person that you have in mind that, like, really influenced you?
Yes, my grandpa. Yeah, my grandfather, he was the one, I watched him, he was the pastor, and he didn't have an organist at his church, so he played organ for the choir. He went to choir rehearsal, he rehearsed the choir, he made sure everyone had the lyrics and all the harmonies and selected what songs. He was literally the the music minister for the church. But then after he finished playing the hymn of preparation, then he'd get up off the organ and walk to the pulpit and deliver the sermon. I watched my grandpa play weddings. I watched him play funerals. I watched him play Communion Sunday. I watched him play in so many different environments. And at the same time, he also ministered as the pastor. Yeah, so that really influenced me to be able to see him multitask. And so as I was growing up as a little boy, his example was one of the keys for me being who I am.
So how many years have you been coming to NAMM?
My first NAMM show was 2008, which was a year after I moved to California, and I haven't missed one NAMM show. The only
That's
NAMM
awesome.
show I missed was when they canceled it. Of course, we know what happened in 2020. Yeah, and NAMM has helped me tremendously because through NAMM I've learned the products that I use. I'm not going to name names, but lots of products that I use in my production, even down to the microphones that I use, the instruments that I play, the strings on my guitar. Oh yeah, I also play guitar. I don't know if I mentioned that to you. So a lot of these things I knew already, but when I came to NAMM, I learned best how to apply them to what I do, along with learning new products. And now the focus is just being a better musician by becoming better in music business. And so the focus this year is NAMM is business. When you say gear, I'm thinking a compressor or a reverb unit, or because I'm also a producer and I do my own mixing. So, but if I could be an instrument, I would say a piano, because that's one of the most powerful instruments, because it covers more range than any other instrument, and it's also a percussion instrument at the same time. So I would say that would be like the elephant in the room, how they say? That's the one who's kind of like out of place. The piano is kind of like the elephant, but not the elephant. It's the one that controls, but not controlled. The piano can control the tempo, it can control the rhythm, it can control the vibe, the atmosphere, no matter how many musicians are on the stage. If that piano is a disaster, it's going to limit the entire thing. Whereas if you're a cello player and you're just having an off night, no one won't, the average Joe won't even know. But piano controls, and the range and the dimension and the rhythmic sophistication and influence that the piano has on the overall sound of a song, I would say I would be because I enjoy that perspective of control. Just because I don't think music should be a democracy.
You're amazing. You're so multi-talented.
Oh, thank you.
How have you seen the music industry change over the years?
Oh.
That is a tough one.
Oh.
Oh, you were telling me about MTV, remember the MTV?
Yes. Okay, so many years ago, long before the world is as we know it now, people would sit down and watch television just for the music. And television wasn't even about a television show or a certain storyline. It was just about a song, and the artist would walk down the street and just sing a song. And we still have music videos nowadays, but it was a way of life. And so many people, they knew if they went home at a certain time and flipped on MTV, they can watch Michael Jackson, his movie that he did, or if you watch BET, you could watch certain videos. At a certain time, you had certain styles of music videos at one time, and then later on at another time, you could see another style of music videos. Late at night was the romance songs, you know, and the love ballads. And you even had hosts that would host the MTV shows and the BET shows. And the good part about that business model is that the people who compose these songs, they could make big money in royalties, because television royalties pay a gigantic, to the power of 3 or 4 compared to radio royalties. And so that was really good for the artists. And over the years, venture capitalists have come in and manipulated our lawmakers into passing laws so that the people at the tip top, they get all the profits. And the artists, as it trickle down, they get less and less and less and less profits. So now we no longer have the MTVs and the BETs and people who sit around watching, because now the videos are free. They're on YouTube free. And the streaming royalties on the platforms like YouTube and even there's some higher end platforms. I'm not going to start naming names, but they pay less than a cent. But 30 years ago, if you watch somebody's music on national television, you were getting paid tens of thousands of dollars over the course of a few weeks. But now it's trickled down to pennies, and now it's moved from national television to a website. You see the difference? And so now that the monetary value of our music has been shifted, not diminished, but shifted. And it's shifted from the business model of the artist to the venture capitalists who own the corporation that is transmitting the music. So that's one way the music has changed. Another way the music have changed is how the music is created. Music used to be created in a recording studio with a live band in the studio with a group of people who organized and rehearsed the song and prepared the music and set up everything. And once they get to that point, it was all captured on tape. And then it was edited on tape if necessary. And it was mixed on tape. And then it was printed onto whatever medium at that time. But that's how it was recorded. Now, music is created by the click of a mouse and people selecting rhythms and beats and pre-recorded samples of other people's performances. Like you can click and select a bass line. Then you click on this link. You click on this file and select a guitar riff. And you click on something else and here's that. And you drag that onto your timeline. And next thing you know, you just wrote a song. You don't even have to be a musician anymore to write music, So that's how music has changed over the years. So, but it's our job as musicians to keep it moving and to keep up with the times.
So what's your contact information? How can we follow your work and stay in contact for people who are interested in listening to your music, and how do they get in contact with you?
So you can find me on social media, Kirk, like Captain, Andre, like the Giant, but you have to put an S at the end of Andre. Wilson, like the volleyball, Kirk Andre Wilson. My website is kirkandre.com. You can find me on LinkedIn, Kirk Andre Wilson. I think that's pretty easy right there, straightforward. Also, you can Google Kirk Andre Wilson, and it's lots of links on Google you can find.
It's really fun talking to you, and thank you again so much.
Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed myself.